The pictures, we are seeing the ceremonial or the softer part of the visit panning out as it happens with any state visit. We see leaders coming in, going to the Rajghat, paying their respects to the father of the nation at Rajghat, and then of course the official part begins. The summit would be happening at Hyderabad House, and in the pictures both Ursula von der Leyen and Anthony Costa, they're going through the ceremonies as it happens. Ursula von der Leyen, of course, the president of the European Commission, and Costa, the president of the European Council. European Commission essentially is a larger body, the executive body actually, and the European Council is the larger body. And it's the Commission which really takes all the decisions and calls. So as the heads of both the bodies, so effectively the executive and the legislature, so to say, insofar as Europe is concerned, of course, there is a larger European Parliament also. This essentially shows between them the kind of unanimity that's there that this deal has to happen. India and the European Union have had this annual summit format for the last 16 years, and this is the 16th edition happening, which alternately happens once in New Delhi and next year in Brussels. So last year it was Brussels, this year in New Delhi. The significance, of course, this time is that the trade deal is being signed. Ursula von der Leyen, of course, is a veteran of European politics, and before that, a veteran of German politics. She was defense minister and women and child development minister of Germany before she took on the European leadership mantle. And this is the second term that she's the president of the European Commission. She became one in 2019. And in the case of Antonio Costa, in fact, there is even a personal element to his India visit. He traces his lineage to Goa. His grandfather was of Goan origin, and of course now from Portugal. And so the two leaders there, they have been here for a couple of days, visiting Rajghat, and as they go to the Hyderabad House, after a short break, we bring to you more details about the important deals.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for getting us all of those details. Taking a short break, coming soon.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है?
अरे मेरे राजा,
सबका राजा आर्थिक मसाला, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President
India-EU trade deal finalized, says the Commerce Secretary, to take effect next year. Major announcements to be made today.
भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds India-EU FTA, says deal will boost confidence of global investors. US Secretary fumes over EU's trade deal with India, says they are financing the war against themselves. Congress leader Shakil Ahmed claims threat to life a day after he called out senior party leadership and Rahul Darpok. UGC's Equality Promotion Regulations 2026 spark nationwide debate with OBC inclusion. Bareilly City Magistrate quits over UGC rules. And ahead of budget session, government convenes all-party meet today. Indigo, Air India, SpiceJet push for pilot duty ease, seek relaxation from government over FTDL pilot norms. All right, viewers, let's begin this bulletin with the big breaking news that we are getting right now at this moment. And this is from the NHAI, the National Highways Authority of India has issued a clarification stating that toll fee exemption on national highways applies exclusively to serving armed forces personnel who are on official duty. So this is a very big development in accordance with the National Highways Fee Determination of Rates and Collection Rules 2008 and related provisions like the Indian Tolls Army and Air Force Act 1901. In this particular case, the individual was an ex-army personnel, retired veteran, rendering them ineligible for the exemption. Now, the documents provided did not satisfy the prescribed criteria, which require proof of active service and official duty status. So you also have to share the official duty status, as exemptions do not extend to ex-servicemen personal vehicles used for non-official travel or retired personnel under the established guidelines. So this is a very big development that is coming in right now at this moment. All right, for more details, we have Abhishek with us. Abhishek, what are the latest details that you are fetching right now, as of now, in this moment? And you can briefly explain the story also to our viewers.
If it is a quick brief of what happened, we had very clearly seen and showcased the video in which the former veteran had mentioned that he hadn't been allowed to get the waiver in the toll gate after even showing that the documents which very clearly mentioned that he was a former serving veteran. And he also mentions that fact he is physically injured during serving the nation, and he also has the visual proof of the same for which. And also, in the same video, he had also mentioned all the politicians, including the municipality leaders, are also getting this exemption. And why not the former veterans, despite having the valid credentials and the documents? After which the NHAI has given out the official statement stating that the waiver is only for the serving persons in the army who are or deputed on duty, who are on field, who are about to dispose of any duty with respect to the nation, and no such waivers will be or probably will not be given to any persons who are the former veterans. They have also mentioned the rules and regulations of the NHAI with respect to who can get the actual waivers and who cannot get the actual waiver. So, as per the allegation of the former veteran, it was the NHAI staff who were at the toll plaza who didn't allow him to pass on freely with using the waiver. But the NHAI clarifies that none of the persons or the former veterans will have this privilege, because it is only the privilege of the serving army personnel who are deputed on duty. So this might have been a full stop at this point of time, but we will have to see if the former veteran challenges the decision of the NHAI, because he had a valid document in which it mentions the fact that he is eligible to get the waiver in all the toll plazas across the country. So at this point, we'll wait and see if the former veteran will move to the Supreme Authority or the High Court, or probably he might also reconsider his statement by going to his previous commandant or his previous battalion to get new orders.
Thanks a lot for the details on this story. All right, viewers, now let's move on to our next top story. This is from Satna, Madhya Pradesh, where a little child was attacked by a rabid dog, and this has led to severe facial injuries for that little child. Here's more details in this special report.
The shocking incident took place in Paikora village under Koti Tehsil of Satna district. 5-year-old Mehak, daughter of Mukesh Vishwakarma, was playing outside her house when tragedy struck without warning. According to locals, a rabid and aggressive stray dog suddenly came from behind and attacked the child, pouncing directly on her face. The dog knocked her to the ground and began mauling her brutally. The dog sank its teeth into the child's cheek and mouth, leaving her bleeding profusely. Hearing Mehak's scream, family members and villagers rushed to the spot and managed to chase the dog away using sticks and stones. The injured child was immediately rushed to the Koti Community Health Center, where doctors provided first aid. However, due to the severity of facial injuries and the risk of rabies infection, she was referred to Satna District Hospital. The incident has sparked anger among villagers, who blamed the administration for failing to control the growing number of stray and rabid dogs in the area.
All right, viewers, now let's move on to our next top story. Now, India and the EU, that is the European Union, have successfully concluded nearly 2 decades of negotiations on a long pending comprehensive FTA. There's a free trade agreement marking a major milestone expected to boost bilateral trade, investment and economic integration. Now, the deal, described as the mother of all trade deals, is currently undergoing a legal review and is expected to be signed later this year. Everything is finalized and it will come into force in early 2027 after ratification, with tariff reductions and expanded market access set to benefit key sectors on both sides. Now, major announcements are expected today itself in a joint statement by India and the EU delegation. So today is a historic day. And these are the live visuals that we are getting. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are live visuals that we are getting. And also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated. Now, this is the visual that the world is expecting to see, because this means the commitment, the confidence of all the European nations. Now, this shows the victorious sign, because these are the visuals. And this is a message, a clear message that's coming from India, and this message is for the world, especially America, China and all other countries, because we have become officially trade partners now. This was a wait for more than 2 decades, and now it's finalized. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And all right, this is a very big development. Everybody is smiling, everybody is happy, because we have finalized a major free trade agreement. I'm being joined by our senior executive editor Abhishek with us. Abhishek, everybody is smiling, everybody is happy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already congratulated every citizen of the nation for this historic FTA, free trade agreement deal. Abhishek, over to you.
Yes, Shivam. So look at the optics. The Prime Minister in the colors of the European Union, with the dark and the light blue shawl over him, and the body language, the warmth, and the energy that you see amongst the three leaders, the chemistry, the high five and the handshake and the coming together of the fists. And I think there is a jointness, so to say, in this geopolitical / geo-economic message being sent from New Delhi to world capitals, specifically one to the west of the Atlantic, which is Washington, D.C. And I think it's a strong one at that, a strong message of multiverse that exists in world affairs, of multi-alignment, of strategic autonomy. Remember, strategic autonomy, when India spoke about it, was seen as some kind of uppity move by middle power. But now, with the kind of push that Europe has faced from the United States in the last 1 month over Greenland, even Europe has started seeing virtue in strategic autonomy. So the kind of beeline we are seeing European leaders make to Beijing, for example, from Emmanuel Macron a fortnight back to Frederick Merz this week, and in between Mark Carney of Canada. I think there is a strong realignment of geopolitical forces and powers happening in this great power game that has been unleashed because of Trump's tariff wars. And in the backdrop of the tariff wars, Shivam, the India-EU trade deal gains that much more salience, significance, and signaling, so to say, from New Delhi to rest of the world that if America indulges in this push and shove kind of diplomacy, then the world can realign in a manner that the international rules-based order can still be preserved. So while the Trump wrecking ball is trying to disturb that, the world is coming together to make sure that that painstakingly built rules-based order over the last 7 or 8 decades post the World War II is not, broken to smithereens. So be it the body language, be it the, faces, the kind of relief that's there. Remember also that between India and EU, if you look at individually some of the EU bloc nations, so some of these countries with like France, Germany, Italy, we already have a defense, ongoing very strong defense and security partnership, a very strong strategic partnership, a very strong economic relationship, a very strong people-to-people connect with the mobility agreement signed for migration and mobility of workers and the work visas. So the European Union Free Trade Agreement really takes it to two notches up. And I think, and in that sense, it's more like signaling and messaging that's really important vis-a-vis the numbers. The numbers, of course, are already also there in terms of the bilateral trade bringing. But then remember, it's a summation of the trade that we have already with Germany, Italy, France, Belgium, etc. This just sort of brings that together, and the number really looks good at $200 billion plus, goods and services included, and a 2 billion population, 1/4 of global trade. Obviously, European Union has much bigger trade going with China, for example, and that's an ambition. So what this trade deal is going to do is, apart from signaling, add that bit of ambition also that, both the sides really have to scale up and look at, say, $500 billion over the next 7, 8 years, 10 years, if possible, maybe less. And that's going to act as a booster for Indian economy. Remember, we have a favorable trade situation with the European Union and the constituent countries, with India exporting more than importing. So in that sense, and this trade deal itself is going to make goods worth about $50 billion tariff-free. So it's not just about India importing cheaper European cars, at least the expensive ones, or cheaper wine. It's about mass market where Indian production, Indian engineering, Indian manufacturing really gets a push with this trade deal. So I think a very significant development there. And these pictures of course, diplomacy, if diplomacy or substantial bit of diplomacy is about optics, these optics are really, really strong. And this might form part of the larger European pushback against the Trump administration's, taking the wrecking ball to Europe finally. But even for India, this is very significant. These pictures coming in from Hyderabad House in New Delhi, coming as it does on the backdrop, in the back of the EU leaders being chief guests at the Republic Day parade and ceremonies. It's a state visit panning out, and now, of course, the three leaders have gone inside for the delegation level talks as part of the annual India-EU summit that takes place every year, this time in New Delhi, like it happened last time in Brussels.
Definitely, Abhishek. Thanks for your insight on this developing story. And it means a lot for India and also for European Union, because it shows the trust each and every nation has on India, which is truly a Vishwaguru. And these optics are an example, clear picture of India leading the world, being the largest growing economy in the world, largest growing economy as of now. And everybody wants to have a partnership, an agreement with India. All right, so Prime Minister Narendra Modi today addressing the India Energy Week, what he spoke on India-EU trade deal. Let's listen in.
Friends, अपनी बात आगे बढ़ाने से पहले मैं एक बड़े डेवलपमेंट की चर्चा करना चाहूंगा। कल ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। दुनिया में लोग इसकी चर्चा मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स के रूप में कर रहे हैं। ये समझौता भारत के 140 करोड़ लोगों और यूरोपीय देशों के करोड़ों लोगों के लिए बहुत बड़े अवसर लेकर आया है। ये दुनिया की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच तालमेल का एक शानदार उदाहरण बना है। ये समझौता ग्लोबल जीडीपी के करीब 25% और ग्लोबल ट्रेड के करीब 1/3 हिस्से को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। ये समझौता ट्रेड के साथ साथ डेमोक्रेसी और रूल ऑफ लॉ के प्रति हमारे शेयर्ड कमिटमेंट को भी सशक्त करता है। साथियों, ईयू के साथ हुआ ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट ब्रिटेन और एप्टा समझौतों को भी कॉम्प्लीमेंट करेगा। इससे ट्रेड और ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन दोनों को मजबूती मिलेगी। मैं भारत के नौजवानों को, सभी देशवासियों को इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। मैं टेक्सटाइल, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, लेदर एंड शूज ऐसे हर सेक्टर से जुड़े साथियों को भी बधाई देता हूं। ये समझौता आपके लिए बहुत सहायक सिद्ध होगा। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा। ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट दुनिया के हर बिजनेस, हर इन्वेस्टर के लिए भारत पर कॉन्फिडेंस को और मजबूत करेगा।
Now, viewers, in a historic trade agreement, India and EU are bound for a new leap in business as well as diplomacy. While a geopolitical chaos brews, bothering economies across the globe, the FTA that will be signed today is the confirmation of India firmly holding its fort. Now, EU leaders, including Ursula von der Leyen, attended the Republic Day parade as a chief guest, and the quiet diplomacy on display was suggesting formation of a 2 billion person trade bloc. But how is the United States reacting to it? And how does this change the global economic flow in the backdrop of Trump's tariff tirade? Arnab explains.
India and the European Union are signing the landmark India-EU trade deal, which is being called the mother of all deals. And European Union President Ursula von der Leyen said that a successful India makes the world more stable, more prosperous and more secure. This is as she was attending the Republic Day event. Ladies and gentlemen, today the fact is there is nobody with the USA. She's not saying it, but she would absolutely hate what Trump is talking about these days, the tone. And she and the European Union would love to have a closer relationship with India. Already the EU is India's biggest trade partner. Yes, don't be surprised, America is not so important really. People keep talking about America. And to truly grasp the scale of the deal, 3 or 4 statistics from my side. Trump is completely isolated today. He doesn't know what to do because this is a trade pact between 2 billion people. India is 1.4 billion, EU's 450 million. This is 1 out of every 4 people in the world is connected through this trade deal. In sheer human scale, imagine this. This trade deal links more people than US, China, Japan and Brazil combined. Economically, this is huge because it connects markets that account for 1/5 of global GDP. Point I'm trying to make is, Trump is not as important at all as he thinks. Trump is actually irrelevant. The more he's shouting these days, he's making less sense because he represents a country with $38 trillion of debt. And there have been tapes released about the internal infighting over the tariffs issue. Elon Musk is out and he is gaping tomorrow. Trump will be gaping as Narendra Modi and Ursula von der Leyen sign the Indo-EU trade deal, because this is not an ordinary deal. This is a
All right, these are the live visuals that are coming in from Hyderabad House, and this is the meeting. And because we have almost finalized the India-EU FTA, that is the free trade agreement, you can see Ursula von der Leyen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Kajal Kalas, and everybody is there. And EM is also there in the picture, in the visuals, as you can see. And it has been a very successful visit of the European Union delegation that is here right now at this moment in India. They are in the Hyderabad House, and you can read the body language of each and every individual who's present in this meeting. And everybody is happy because it's a historic free trade agreement. It's a historic agreement, and particularly the world leaders across the globe are monitoring what's unfolding right now at this moment in India, and everybody is observing because this is a historic agreement between the fastest growing economy, the largest growing economy, that is India, and the European Union, that has renewed its trust and knows where to invest and where the future lies. It lies with the Vishwaguru, that is Bharat, that is India. And these are the pictures, the live optics visuals, as you can see on your screen, and you can read from the body language that everybody is happy with the free trade agreement. Now, it is a strategic partnership, and these are the visuals that are going to go viral today. And this shows the commitment, the friendship, and how India has led the world in such troubled times when Donald Trump is just imposing tariffs. All right, now let's move on to our next top story. Now, Indian Army troops in Akhnur sector of Jammu Kashmir. Now, the Indian Army is doing a lot of stuff, and we'll show you a video on that.
हथियार है। ये देखिए LMG, यानी कि आप देख सकते हैं कि LMG जो लाइट गन है वो भी है, और स्नाइपर गनें भी इनके साथ हैं, जिसके साफ तौर पर सुकोई और 6 और जैसी वेपन जो साफ तौर पर बताते हैं कि अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो उन्हें यहाँ पर ऐसे ढेर करना भी। दुश्मन को ना तो जाने किस तरह से चबाने हैं, अब रॉकेट लॉन्चर भी है, वो भी यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं कि पूरी तरह से इनके साथ होता है। और ये एम्बुश जो है वो हमेशा से आप देख सकते हैं इसमें एक स्कोप भी लगा हुआ है।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा,
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't got it. No, it beeped to me. So we'll see if that beeps anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला। प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार, क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
Thank you, no, I haven't spoken. No, he debanked me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon.
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा,
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिर्फ जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जीरा सिप MDH का जीरा सिप।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
Thank you, no, I haven't spoken. No, he debanked me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon, what he did, he's not allowed to do that.
The lawsuit, filed on Thursday, January 22nd in Miami-Dade County State Court, centers on a controversial practice known as debanking.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hi there, very good noon and welcome to Live Report.
in which we set the agenda for the day with three big stories panning out. The biggest one, of course, today is the signing of the historic mother of all deals between India and the European Union that's going to bring together 2 billion people and 1/4 of global GDP. That's going to be our focus. Delegation level talks are on announcement very soon. Let's begin with the headlines. EU delegation meets Prime Minister Modi at the Hyderabad House in Delhi. Talks on joint statement on historic deal next.
कल ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा।
Prime Minister Modi lauds India EU FTA, says deal will boost confidence of global investors in India. Congress leader Shakil Ahmed claims threat to his life a day after he called out senior party leadership and specifically Rahul Gandhi darpok. Battleground Tamil Nadu heats up. DMK says Congress has no standing in a state without Stalin government. Indigo, Air India's SpiceJet push for pilot duties, seek relaxation from government over FDTL pilot norms. And ahead of the budget session, the government convenes an all-party meeting taking place as we speak. All right, friends, let's begin with the big one now, which is the India and the European Union. They have successfully concluded nearly 2 decades of negotiations on a long-pending comprehensive free trade agreement, signing ceremony of which is going to take place in a while from now. As we speak, delegation level talks are going on between India and the EU leadership. Remember, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa have been in New Delhi since day before yesterday. They were special guests or the chief guests at the Republic Day Parade. In the morning, we had them visiting the Rajghat as part of the state visit ceremonials. And now the delegation level talks going on at the Hyderabad House. The free trade agreement, of course, the talks for it began in 2007. Hit a stalemate and deadlock in 2013 during the UPA years, were picked up again in 2022, and now we are close to signing of that historic agreement. The deal, described as the mother of all trade deals, is going to be going through legal vetting on both the sides by the Law Ministry here in India and the Commerce Ministry, and then of course on the European Union side by their respective mechanisms. And then it has to be ratified first by the European Union and then by the member states. Then, of course, the coming into effect of the trade deal, which is expected sometime in 2027. That's the timeline. From now till the time that it actually operationalizes would be 2027, but it's coming together of ambition on global trade between India and the European Union. Talks for which are going on. Let's listen to Prime Minister's soundbite. He was speaking at the India Energy Week earlier in a couple of hours back, and there he spoke about the significance of the India-EU FTA. Listen to him.
Friends, अपनी बात आगे बढ़ाने से पहले मैं एक बड़े डेवलपमेंट की चर्चा करना चाहूंगा। कल ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। दुनिया में लोग इसकी चर्चा मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स के रूप में कर रहे हैं। ये समझौता भारत के 140 करोड़ लोगों और यूरोपीय देशों के करोड़ों लोगों के लिए बहुत बड़े अवसर लेकर आया है। ये दुनिया की 2 बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच तालमेल का एक शानदार उदाहरण बना है। ये समझौता ग्लोबल जीडीपी के करीब 25% और ग्लोबल ट्रेड के करीब 1/3 हिस्से को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। ये समझौता ट्रेड के साथ साथ डेमोक्रेसी और रूल ऑफ लॉ के प्रति हमारे शेयर्ड कमिटमेंट को भी सशक्त करता है। साथियों, ईयू के साथ हुआ ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट ब्रिटेन और एप्टा समझौतों को भी कॉम्प्लीमेंट करेगा। इससे ट्रेड और ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन दोनों को मजबूती मिलेगी। मैं भारत के नौजवानों को, सभी देशवासियों को इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। मैं टेक्सटाइल, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, लेदर एंड शूज ऐसे हर सेक्टर से जुड़े साथियों को भी बधाई देता हूं। ये समझौता आपके लिए बहुत सहायक सिद्ध होगा। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा। ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट दुनिया के हर बिजनेस, हर इन्वेस्टर के लिए भारत पर कॉन्फिडेंस को और मजबूत करेगा।
Well, that was Prime Minister underscoring the significance of the India-EU trade deal. Manju Seth, former diplomat, joins us live on this broadcast. Very good morning to you, ma'am. And the first up, while we understand why it's being called the mother of all deals, given the numbers, both in terms of population covered and the GDP, etc., I was going through, looking at the pictures coming in from Hyderabad House, the kind of exuberance that was there in the body language of the leaders, both Prime Minister Modi and the EU chiefs, Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa. What are your takeaways in terms of the geopolitical messaging out of New Delhi today?
Very rightly, you mentioned that there has been real exuberance and on both sides. And I think this was all sort of given a push, given the US's current leadership, which has been, treating friends and foes alike, and has targeted, everyone, Europe and India, and amongst others. And I think this messaging is, and we saw that this FTA has been in the works for almost 2 decades, as you said. And the fact that it has been concluded very quickly with for mutual benefit and mutual agreement, it has given a clear message that, yes, the two largest, Europe as the largest, EU as the largest democracy as a group, and India as the largest democracy. They are the two largest democracies coming together. And as you very rightly mentioned, that the numbers are huge. Billion people, as it's being spoken about. And so I think all this together has made this deal very important for India as well, because both India and the EU have been badly impacted by the tariffs imposed including the punitive tariffs. Even today, again, the US has given a statement that both EU and EU is funding the war against itself and things like that. So they've been very negative, and of course it's a matter of concern for them. But they are continuously targeting and coming up with these statements against India, against the European Union as well, and individual countries as well. We saw how he was quite. I think US has been quite disrespectful also to its allies, which is a little, sad. That when you have, if you have to be respectful, you have to understand what the other person's concerns are, which they have totally not done. And so the India and EU ties at this time are, given the geopolitical flux, geopolitical churn that is taking place, and the way things have panned out in all countries around the world are in a difficult situation. But I think China is at the moment in a better position as compared to all the other countries. And India and EU together, I think, will make an impact. The rules-based order has gone been thrown out of the window. So now resetting and getting back to getting the world back on a more rules-based order system, I think will be mutually beneficial and beneficial for the world as well.
Absolutely. In fact, the geopolitical messaging, really, apart from the geo-economic one, is about preserving the rules-based order and sending across a message to the United States that they cannot play around with something built so painstakingly over the last 7 decades and more. Thank you so much, Ambassador Nath, for joining us with that perspective. And we come back to it when the joint statements happen between India and the EU leadership at around 1:15 p.m. from the Hyderabad House. But for now, moving on to another important agenda-setting story, which is like it happens every year in Bihar and Bengal. This time too, we have seen stone-pelting incidents reported between two communities from Darbhanga district of Bihar, with tensions flaring up again following a dispute during Saraswati Puja idol immersion. In Jayantinagar village of Darbhanga, a disagreement over playing DJ music, again like it happens every year during the immersion, allegedly linked to objections over a religious chant, escalated into clashes after initially subsiding, leading to stone pelting. In a separate but related incident in Hami village under Gadi police station of Khaira block, again in Darbhanga district, a dispute between members of the Turi and Tanti communities during idol immersion turned violent. So again, not when you say two communities, it's not necessarily Hindu-Muslim, it's within the same communities also. This time again, stone pelting and arson was reported, and some arson of thatched homes happened. Let's look at, let's listen to some of those, sound bites, giving the setting of the violence that took place. Then we'll have Prakash live from Patna.
कल सरस्वती पूजा था, हम लोग भसाने के लिए विदा हुए और यहाँ से लेकर हम गए तो वो डीजे बज रहा था, जय श्री राम जय श्री राम बज रहा था। वहाँ बीच में कर लिया लफड़ा, हम लोग को साथ डीजे वाला पर डीजे पर चढ़ गया था 4 लड़का और गाली देने लगा, तो हम लोग उससे क्षमा मांग के फिर वहाँ से हम लौटा लिए। कल सरस्वती पूजा था, हम लोग भसाने के लिए विदा हुए और यहाँ से लेकर हम गए तो वो डीजे बज रहा था, जय श्री राम जय श्री राम बज रहा था। वहाँ बीच में कर लिया लफड़ा, हम लोग को साथ डीजे वाला पर डीजे पर चढ़ गया था 4 लड़का और गाली देने लगा, तो हम लोग उससे क्षमा मांग के फिर वहाँ से हम लौटा लिए।
All right, so that really sets the context of the kind of ego clash led to a stone pelting clash, led to arson in Bihar, Darbhanga district of Bihar. These are pictures from last evening. And in fact, 4 unrelated incidents of targeting of the Saraswati Puja processions have been reported. And for more details on this story, we have Shivam joining us live from the newsroom. Shivam, it keeps happening every year, the Saraswati Puja processions targeted, but this time it seems like not exactly between, when you say two communities, just between Hindu and Muslim, it's sometimes the Turi and Tanti community coming together, so it seems more like local factors playing out in these clashes.
Definitely, it was between the Turi and Tanti communities. This was happening because there was an idol immersion procession which was passing through the Tuli Tora area and towards the Kali temple. Now, the dispute that escalated from a heated argument. It started from a heated argument and it continued, and it led to a stone pelting from both the sides. Now, both the sides started pelting stones on each other, and during the clash, a heap of hay was also set on fire. As you can see, the visuals also we are showing on the television screen. It is alleged that the thatched house was also burned down. So this is the latest that we are getting. It was because of an altercation and because of a dispute. It was because of the idol immersion, because yesterday was the idol immersion day for Saraswati Puja yesterday. Now, this is a violent clash that has been reported in Harni village and under the Gadi police station in Khaira block of the district. Now, during the immersion of Saraswati Puja idols, this happened, and this attacks involved stone pelting, arson, and also creating a chaotic environment, atmosphere in the entire village. Everybody was worried because nobody knew till how long this will go on, and the escalation point could even further go on. Now, according to information, it was because an argument that broke out between the people of the Turi and Tanti communities, Hindus, during the Saraswati Puja idol immersion. It quickly escalated to stone pelting incident. A pile of hay was also set on fire, and that it was a thatched house was also set ablaze. And after that, the villagers called the police. They dialed 112, and the police reacted. And the station in charge, along with police officers, he reached the spot and tried to bring the situation under control. Now, the police took swift action, and a total of 5 people were detained from both the sides. So many people have been detained also. Police brought the situation under control, but it could have escalated into a more serious deteriorating situation also. And the police quickly responded. That's a good part here. And seeing the situation, the police had to intervene. The villagers say that a day earlier, that is on January 25th, there was a minor altercation between the two sides. So it was a continuation of the escalation, the altercation and the tussle and between the two sides during the idol immersion of Turi Tola, and the dispute continued.
All right. Thank you so much, Shivam, with those details. And we move to the third story. Big one again, concerns people and their safety when they are flying. All major airlines, Air India, Indigo, SpiceJet included, accounting for roughly 90% plus of air traffic. They have sought relaxation from the Government of India and the Ministry of Civil Aviation over the FDTL pilot norms. FDTL stands for Flight Duty Time Limitation. These norms had kicked in the month of November last year. And according to them, the pilots are supposed to work only for a certain number of hours, and then they have to have a gap, they have to have a rest period, and then they can go to their next round of duty. And that sort of put constraints or limitations on the airlines in terms of managing the pilot rosters. They were not willing to hire. In fact, that's what exactly led to the Indigo crisis in the month of November, and subsequently a dominoes over other airlines. Now they have come together and said that maybe they cannot sustain the FDTL norms and that they need relaxation from the government. It's surprising that after a time lag of almost 3 months, after having consented to the government that they would do something about this, after the government really cracked the whip in the backdrop of the Indigo developments of November and December, yet the airlines have really come together sort of in a cartel and suggesting there that they are together on this and they want to force the government and the DGCA to pull back from these guidelines. The FDTL is Flight Duty Time Limitation, and this puts constraints on the utilization of pilots. Shawan is going to be joining us live from the newsroom for more on this, or maybe Harsha on the phone. And we are also going to have pilots' view from what they think about this, because remember, ultimately it's about flyer safety, than anything else. If the pilots are taken off the FDTL norms, then they are working under that much more stress of deadlines. Captain C.S. Randhawa is also going to join us. He is president of the Pilots Association, but I believe before that we have Shawan joining us live from the newsroom for more on this. Shawan, it seems that these airlines have really come together like a cartel and are trying to force the DGCA to relax the FDTL guidelines. I mean, it's back to square one from the Indigo stalemate of November, December.
Well, in fact, what was seen as an organic kind of a protest that was actually taking place, it seems all of this has been manufactured. going back to the Indigo crisis, which essentially indicates that Indigo was basically waiting on this because they essentially wanted these norms to be changed. Now, what are these norms that we're talking about, Abhishek? This basically allows more rest period that is given to the pilots, which essentially means that the airlines will have to rework their entire rostering process, which also means that as far as flight operations, night flight operations are concerned, there too there would be considerable amount of changes to be brought in. So for airlines which have been perhaps operating on just profit as their motto, it becomes even more difficult for them because somewhere down the line they have to understand the human aspect of flight operations. The very fact that pilots have time and again basically complained about the fact that these are inhuman hours that they have essentially been working on. That is the reason why these norms were brought in. Now it seems that not just Indigo, the other airlines have also come together making this request that these norms are to be changed so that the flight operations are not basically hampered. They've been given multiple reasons for it. One, in terms of the profits that they are essentially making right now, which seems to have taken a hit primarily because there have been change in the routes that they are operating in, particularly international flights where the routes have been altered, and that is the reason why, remember Abhishek, one of the primary concerns that the airlines have shown is the fact that because of changes that have come in because of international routes, their flight operations have taken a massive hit, and that is the reason why they believe that these norms would further aggravate their entire operation process, and that is the reason why they've made this kind of a plea before the DGCA. In the past, remember, the DGCA has been extremely lenient. It remains to be seen whether at all the Federation, the Pilot Association would be accepting this because they have been up in arms against this bulldozing that the airlines have essentially done.
Yes, Shawan, in fact, we have Captain C.S. Randhawa now joining us to present us the pilot's point of view. Remember, ultimately it's about flyer safety, Captain Randhawa, but before that, it's about the stress that pilots really go through, and in the backdrop of the recent certain incidents, including the AI-171 crash, you think the airlines are, with the cartel that they have formed, sort of blackmailing the DGCA? I mean, does it really help ultimately the aviation sector in any manner?
You see, first and foremost thing, we've been stressing upon one thing, that these regulations are made by the government of India. And they have been made as per the keeping in mind whatever the international other regulatory bodies make. And this was the first CR which was exceptionally well made by the DGCA, keeping in mind the Naseem Zaidi committee report which was given in 2011. So that had addressed everything in totality, and a good CR came up. Now, it is very, very, difficult to understand that the government of India has made a regulation or a law, and the pilots are trying to push it for implementation. It's a very, very, it's a thing that the government should understand, that it is for safety, and for safety cannot be compromised. They are compromising safety left, right, and center. We have given even a contempt of court case when the Indigo got the dispensation in December. Now, the point of issue is that when we talk about safety, then we have to insist that this is not to be played around by the airlines. It is for safety. Tomorrow, one accident happens, then what is going to happen to the Indian skies? Everyone is going to be scared of flying in India. People don't realize it. And are they waiting for an accident to happen? We have been stressing this point over and over and over again, but they don't seem to understand. Again, we'll have to knock the doors of the court. Now, I had, on 2 parliamentary committees, I had given a full rundown that what is the pilot to aircraft ratio, right? All these airlines, including Indigo, they're surplus on pilots. So what are they creeping about? I have got the report, I can send it to Republic TV, that they are surplus on pilots.
So they are surplus on pilots. I mean, that's a very interesting conversation. Captain Randhawa, we will have to come back to it. I think we have to take a short break. But we will definitely come back to this conversation of how the airlines are sort of, with the kind of clout that they have, are easily in a situation where they seem to be manipulating the government. That's really what comes out of this conversation that we had with Shravan and Captain Randhawa. On that note, we're slipping a short break. Coming up on the other side, the threat that former Congress leader Shakil Ahmed claims to have to his life a day after he called out senior party leadership, including Rahul Gandhi Darpok. We're coming back on the other side of a short break.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा
Amity University has been ranked India's #1 university for business and economics and the #1 private university for computer science by Times Higher Education Subject Rankings 2026. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
Thank you, no, I haven't stopped it. No, it beat debanked to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
Thank you, no, I haven't stopped it. No, it beat debanked to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon, what he did, he's not allowed to do that.
The lawsuit, filed on Thursday, January 22nd in Miami-Dade County State Court, centers on a controversial practice known as debanking. The president alleges that the bank has systematically denied services to him and his associated businesses, not because of financial risk, but due to political bias. This isn't just a dispute over a checking account. This is a high-stakes legal battle that accuses the largest bank in the United States of trade libel, bad faith, and violating state consumer protection laws. The core of the complaint is that J.P. Morgan Chase violated Florida's deceptive trade practices law. The legal team for the president argues that Florida law explicitly prohibits financial
Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now, viewers, India and EU have finalized the mother of all deals, a deal representing 25% of global GDP, 1/3 of global trade, and integration of market comprising of 2 billion people. We'll get you all the details on that. But first up, headlines. EU delegation meets Prime Minister Modi at Hyderabad House in Delhi. Joint statement on historic trade deal next.
कल ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा।
Prime Minister Modi lauds India-EU FTA, says the deal will boost confidence of global investors. Congress leader Shakil Ahmed claims a threat to life a day after he called out senior party leadership and Rahul Darpoke. Battleground Tamil Nadu heats up. DMK says the Congress has no standing in state without Stalin government. Indigo Air India SpiceJet push for pilot duty ease, seek relaxation from government over FDTL pilot norms. Ahead of budget session, government convenes all-party meeting. Viewers are beginning this bulletin with a big breaking news coming in. Gujarat's anti-terrorism squad ATS has now arrested Faizan Sheikh, a resident of Charpul in Navsari district and originally from Dundwala, Narpat Nagar in Rampur, Uttar Pradesh on January 25th. Now, this was in connection with a terror conspiracy case. Viewers, according to official details shared on X and reported in local media as well, Sheikh had become radicalized by the ideologies of Pakistan-based terror groups including Jaish-e-Mohammed and Al-Qaeda, leading him to illegally procure a weapon and ammunition with the intent to carry out targeted killings of selected individuals to instill terror and fear among the public. Now, the arrest by ATS marks a significant preventive action to thwart potential terror activities amid ongoing nationwide efforts to counter radicalization and cross-border terror influences. Viewers, investigations are continuing to uncover any broader network or accomplices linked to this terror conspiracy. But of course, one arrest has already been made. Faizan Sheikh arrested by Gujarat ATS. Remember, Faizan is influenced by terror groups, Pakistani-based terror groups including Jaish-e-Mohammed and Al-Qaeda. Now, my colleague Sorali is joining me from Gandhinagar. Sorali, it's a big boost for India's anti-terror operations. We have arrested Faizan Sheikh, an individual who's linked to terror conspiracy influenced by terror groups such as Jaish-e-Mohammed. Give us more details.
Yes, that's true. Let me tell you, Gujarat ATS has arrested a person named Faizan Sheikh from Gujarat's Navsari. He was residing in the Navsari area, but he actually originally belongs from the Uttar Pradesh's Narpat Nagar in Rampur. Now, let me tell you, he allegedly procured weapons and ammunition with the aim to execute targeted killing and terrorist attacks. Now, he was also allegedly linked with and radicalized with the ideologies of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Al-Qaeda. Let me tell you, few months back we had totally covered and tracked the entire story of a terror group, entire terror module that was bursted by the Gujarat ATS, and three accused terrorists were arrested by the Gujarat ATS related to the entire Raisen case. And now after that, Faizan Sheikh, a person named Faizan Sheikh, is being arrested from the Gujarat's Navsari area. So this is a big boost to the entire anti-terrorism operation. On the other hand, now from whom these weapons and ammunitions were procured? Are there any further links, or where will this investigation lead? All these angles will be investigated, and will the actual kingpin be arrested? All these are the questions, and investigation by the Gujarat ATS will tell us more.
Right. So, Rali, do we have any details about any accomplices that were working with him in his terror conspiracy, or any group linked to him inside the country?
Yet we are waiting for the official information from the Gujarat ATS, but that is very, very sure that all the links, or how he was actually operating on ground, was he connected to the people of terror groups, may it be Jaish-e-Mohammed or Al-Qaeda based in India, or he was connected with the foreign forces. That is a part of investigation, and ATS could tell us more. But all these angles will be surely investigated, and if there is any further link, investigation will tell us more about the entire story.
All right, so Rali, thank you for joining us and giving us those details. Of course, we'll get more answers as the investigation continues in this case. Now, viewers, we're also getting another big breaking news. India and European Union are set to elevate their long-standing strategic engagement, first formalized in 2004 with the signing of Security and Defence Partnership, which will explore avenues for India's participation in European defence initiatives. Now at the 16th India-EU Summit today, Prime Minister Modi will hold restricted and delegation level discussions with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa. So those are the details we're getting in right after both the countries finalized a mother deals. We're also looking at the defense partnership getting a boost. My colleague now, Ishan, joins me on this. Ishan, right after India and EU finalized a mother of all deals, we're also looking at ties cementing in the defense sector. Give us more details.
Absolutely. The India-EU Strategic Defence Partnership began in 2004, and since then it has been in works. This Strategic Defence Partnership will open avenues for Indian manufacturers to collaborate with the European industry giants to come together and participate in European and Indian defence projects. Now, these defence projects range all the way from small arms and ammunition to all the complex missile technologies, aircraft manufacturing, tank manufacturing, sensor manufacturing. This also opens up Indian industry to a $150 billion annual market of the European defense, where India will be able to export arms and ammunition manufactured in India to European Union. The strategic defense partnership is made in a way that will provide us not only with an export but also a research oriented production that will provide the Indian industry access to various research-oriented production labs that have been set up in the European Union. Now, this European Union Defence Production Partnership will also provide the Indian industrial base that has already seen development with missile technology and a lot of technology that was earlier restricted only to the European manufacturers. Now, this partnership also signifies a strategic shift from the EU, where a non-EU country is being invited to do all this. This has been the first time that is being this. Earlier, only smaller agreements were done, and this is a very large agreement, and it is expected to be signed in the 16th EU-India Defence Partnership meet. Back to you.
You mentioned that this elevation is going to help manufacturing in terms of indigenous manufacturing in defense sector. So how big of a boost this is for Atmanirbhar Bharat when we talk about defense manufacturing?
The defense manufacturing sector in India has already reached a new milestone where around 350 lakh crores worth of defense products have been manufactured in India in the previous year. Now, this particular deal, if and when it goes through, will provide a major boost up to 30% more in the coming years. Now this will provide three key accesses. First is the research, it will provide the access to research and development of new materials. Now this will also help us provide in research and materials in the manufacturing sector, such as the sensors and component level access, which India did not have earlier. Now this is being done in the backdrop of this mega deal that India and Europe is going to sign, but this will definitely boost defense manufacturing, export oriented manufacturing in India, and it will also enable Indian companies to participate in projects that are being led in the defense sector in the Europe, such as the long range artillery guns that are being developed. Apart from that, the Eurofighter Typhoon and other larger projects that are ongoing, the stealth project that is ongoing by the European Union. So all this will be gaining, India will be gaining access to all this, and this is a major step forward for the defense manufacturing and industrial base that has been set up in India in various corridors. Back to you.
Said a major step forward when it comes to defense ties between India and EU. Thank you for so much joining us and giving us those details. Now viewers, moving on to political news, the tug of war between Congress and DMK continues over the demand of share in power. But the party commanders Stalin and Rahul Gandhi have now been silent over this topic, and the Congress and the DMK cadres and MLAs continue to fight over power sharing. Now he stressed that the DMK should make sure to not give any power to MP Manikam Tagore and Jyoti Mani, who have been constantly going against the DMK and sharing their thoughts about getting power in the state. He added that both the Congress MPs forgot that their win came as they stood with DMK in 2024 and now seeking power share. His statement, in fact, that Indi bloc without DMK will be empty. In fact, that it is Congress that needs the support of DMK government and not the other way. That's a big statement coming in as the tug of war continues. My colleague Sharda now joins me with more details on this. Sharda, it seems that all is not well within the Indi bloc, and now big statement coming in from DMK saying that Indi bloc is essentially empty without Stalin government and Congress stands nowhere in the state.
Well, the DMK MLA Thalapathy speaking in Madurai in a public meet constantly stated that the Congress is in huge requirement of the DMK for its support and stated that without DMK, India alliance doesn't stand. And he also said that the other alliances are smaller in number when compared to DMK, and this particular statement has brought in the address of the Congress chief, pointing it out to MK Stalin, asking him to take immediate action against the MLA who spoke very demeaning of the Congress party in itself. This speech was made on 25th, where Tamil Nadu was celebrating the Day of Language Martyrs who lost their life back in 1970s when Hindi as a language was imposed in the state of Tamil Nadu under the Congress regime. And DMK MLA constantly stated that the Congress should not be given power in the state of Tamil Nadu with the DMK and should only be an ally party and could not be a party that is ready to form the coalition government, saying that the Congress has not done any good for the people of Tamil Nadu, and also stressed that without the DMK, the Congress would not even have one MP seats back in 2024 without the alliance of the DMK, and also stressed that especially the MPs who are going against the DMK and supporting other parties, especially talking about sharing in power and seat sharing, and also asking for ministerial positions in the coming elections.
All right, Sharda, thank you for joining us. This certainly is going to have repercussions on the coming elections as well. Thank you. And now we are moving on. The Kunamangalam Judicial First Class Magistrate. In fact, we're going back to the story we're covering for you before. The infighting within the Indi bloc continues in Tamil Nadu as DMK says the bloc stands nowhere. Face of a 5-year-old girl playing outside her home in Satna was mauled by a rabid dog. Fortunately, locals rescued her from the dog's clutches, but the menace of stray and rabid dogs in Satna continues. In fact, is proving fatal. The girl, Mehek, was happily playing outside her home in the afternoon. The child is currently undergoing treatment at the district hospital. A woman's Mangal Sutra was snatched in Bhopal AIMS hospital elevator. As soon as the elevator doors opened, the robber fled towards the stairs after committing the crime. After the incident, the accused robber escaped by taking the elevator. A live CCTV footage of the robbery has now surfaced. As many as 50 flights to and from Srinagar International Airport were cancelled on Tuesday, January 27, due to snowfall in Kashmir. Around 50 flights, 25 inbound and 25 outbound, have also been cancelled so far due to continuous snowfall. Now viewers, we have a breaking news coming in. The Kunamangalam Judicial First Class Magistrate Court in Kozhikode district has now rejected the bail plea of Sanjita Mustafa, reported as Sanjita Mustafa in a high-profile abetment to suicide case linked to the death of 42-year-old Deepak, a textile sales representative from Govindapuram. Now, Deepak allegedly took his own life on January 18th after severe distress from widespread online trolling and character assassination, which in fact was triggered by a viral social media video posted by Mustafa. Mustafa is a 35-year-old social media influencer and former Panchayat member affiliated with the Indian Union Muslim League. And viewers, in the video recorded during a bus journey from Kannur to Kozhikode, Mustafa accused Deepak of deliberate sexual misconduct by inappropriately touching her, a claim that garnered millions of views but was denied by Deepak's family and friends, who described him as who in fact described the video as a social media trial without conclusive evidence. Now, police registered a case under non-bailable abetment charges after a complaint was filed by Deepak's mother, leading to Mustafa's arrest on January 21st from a relative's house in Vadakra following her initial absconding. Now, she was remanded to judicial custody earlier, but her subsequent bail application has now been turned down by the court, highlighting debates over social media responsibility, cyberbullying's mental health impact, and the ethics of public accusation versus formal complaints. All right, my colleague now Shankar joins me on this. Shankar, we are given to understand that the court has denied bail to Mustafa in this case. Give us more details.
Yes, the Kundamangalam Judicial First Class Magistrate Court denied the bail application which was filed by Sanjita Mustafa, who is accused of posting a video online, and it caused much humiliation to Deepak, a Kozhikode native. In the video, Sanjita had accused him of sexual misconduct, and 2 days later he committed suicide. And after his suicide, the video went viral on social media with a views of over 2 million views, and the videos and the section of the society came up against Sanjita. As in the video, it was seen that the elbow of Deepak was seen brushing against her chest, and it was citing this portion of this video. Sanjita had accused him of sexual misconduct. However, it was termed an accidental touch by a section of media, and even the court examined it. Even on last Friday and Saturday, the court considered the bail applications of Sanjita, but it was posted for hearing on Tuesday. And
all right, viewers, there we're getting the live visuals from Hyderabad House. EU delegation meeting Prime Minister Modi as well. There you can see the President of European Council, European Commission as well, Ursula von der Leyen, Antonio Costa sitting there. Prime Minister Modi along with Jai Shankar as well. Remember, comes after the finalization of the mother of all deals between the EU and India. A deal that represents 25% of global GDP, 1/3 of global trade, and is going to lead to the integration of a market comprising almost 2 billion people. Big numbers, And bigger impact as India and EU have now finalized mother of all deals. My colleague Abhishek is now joining me on this. Abhishek, we have seen the finalization of deal between the India and EU, mother of all deals. I want to ask you, of course, this is going to have an impact in terms of economy. If you're looking at integration of market comprising 2 billion people, 25% of global GDP, but diplomatically, how big of this win is for India? Because we're looking at a time when trade ties are getting tested around the world.
Well, yes, that's the most significant aspect of this trade deal, that this is happening in a certain backdrop of a tariff wars launched by the Trump administration. So first, the geo-economic aspect, bringing together of two big markets between India and the European Union and the 28-country bloc or 32-country bloc, and India together constitute 2 billion people and 1/4 of GDP of the world. So that's one. India has a favorable relationship in terms of balance of trade between with the European Union, and our exports far surpass our imports. So that's another. It adds or injects a certain ambition to the numbers at about $200 billion as of now, of which about $130, $40 billion is goods trade, and rest is services trade. And so it's going to give a fillip to manufacturing, making in India. Because remember, with about $130-40 billion worth of goods sent to Europe or exchange between the two countries, much of the manufacturing happens in India. So that's one big plus for industries like textiles, pharma, and footwear, among others, and even engineering goods. It's not about India importing cheaper cars or wine, but a larger relationship. So that's the geo-economic aspect, and there is also the geopolitical aspect of messaging, that in these turbulent times when tariffs seem to be becoming a weapon of diplomacy, there are geographies which are still going by the well-set rules-based international order, painstakingly built over the last 7-8 decades, and they are preserving it. They are still persisting with it, and they are following those rules or working within the mechanism of those rules in agreeing to these or making these agreements. So I think that's the geopolitical message, rather, going out of New Delhi today to rest of the world capitals, and specifically Washington, D.C. The fact that despite sticking points on both the sides, so for example, for the Europeans, the agriculture sector, like it happens with the Americans, and on India's side, the carbon mechanism and the climate caveats that Europeans are very persistent with. We have put aside those concerns on both the sides and those challenges on both the sides, and still managed to come to an agreement on a larger deal. So that's the geopolitical message going out of New Delhi today, that you can agree to disagree on certain points, put aside those disagreements and focus on agreements and still sign a deal. And then the geostrategic message that in the kind of uncertainty, global uncertainty that the world is facing, with the United States receding with their recent national security strategy and national defense strategy that came out over the last 1 month alone from Pentagon, the world is realigning. So the kind of pushback we have seen from Europe, you cannot but see this latest trade agreement as part of that European pushback against the United States, where they are sending across a message, transatlantic message across the pond, so to say, that if you are going to withdraw, if you are going to come with a wrecking ball at Greenland, we are going to have our options. We are going to explore our options. So the kind of a beeline that European leaders have made to Beijing with Emmanuel Macron visiting China last fortnight, and Friedrich Merz of Germany doing it this week, and in between Canada's Mark Carney doing it. I think this is a world of realignments amidst uncertainty, and these pictures are really reassuring in the sense that world leaders grappling with that uncertainty are finding their own ways, cutting across the geographies and trying to retrieve the international rules-based order out of the Trump wrecking ball.
Right, of course, Abhishek. And also the kind of statement that came in from European Commission President, she said that we are showing a fractured world, that another way is possible. So very much is sending a signal there to Washington DC. But one question that will be on everyone's mind as well, as you mentioned before, that the deal is going to benefit the labor-intensive sectors in India. I want to ask, are we also looking at lessening the impact of US tariffs for Indian manufacturers? Are we looking at some cushioning impact for them?
Well, that's a natural corollary to a trade deal that, for example, in this case, when we have about $200 billion worth of trade in goods and services, about $50 billion worth of goods, it becomes zero tariff. And so obviously, all the industries that come in that bracket, they get a fill-up. They get that margin of profit or a margin of costs added to the overall volume. So, and then of course with that margin they can tinker, they can produce more, which means they can employ more. So it's a win-win situation. So that's the message, as I was mentioning, the geopolitical message out of the India-EU FTA, that coming together of leadership and realigning intentions or intent with the actual numbers can really happen, which the Americans have been overlooking or rather weaponizing. So, for example, just yesterday, if you look at the statement that came from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary of the United States, that it's a pity that Europe is signing a trade deal with India, which in turn finances the Russia war against them. So there is a clear case of half jealousy, half incitement in that statement of Scott Bessent. And I think if you look at the body language of Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa and Prime Minister Modi, I think they're going to speak. We can cut to that the moment they speak. But the body language is sort of cocking a snook at the Americans, so to say, between India and Europe.
Right, of course. You know, that confidence being visible in the leaders from both the sides. We're expecting a joint statement very soon. Thank you, Abhishek, for joining us and putting all of these developments into perspective for our viewers. All right, viewers, coming up on the other side, a big statement from India and EU as they finalize the mother of all deals.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Amity University has been ranked India's #1 university for business and economics and the #1 private university for computer science by Times Higher Education Subject Rankings 2026, a testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't stopped it. No, he beat bank to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डवेयर मसाला।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
Thank you, no, I haven't spoken to him. No, he debanked to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanking. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching live and breaking on Republic with me, Shita Mitra. Now, viewers, a joint statement is awaited from India and EU leaders as they finalize the mother of all deals. We'll get you all the details on that. But first up, headlines. EU delegation meets Prime Minister Modi at Hyderabad House in Delhi. Joint statement on historic trade deal next.
कल ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा।
Prime Minister Modi lauds India-EU FTA, says a deal will boost confidence of global investors. Congress leader Shakil Ahmed claims threat to life a day after he called out to senior party leadership and Rahul Gandhi darpoke. Battleground Tamil Nadu heats up. DMK says Congress has no standing in state without Stalin government. Indigo Air India's SpiceJet push for pilot duty ease seeks relaxation from government over FTTL pilot norms. Ahead of the budget session, government convenes all-party meeting. Welcome viewers. Our top focus at this hour. India and European Union have successfully concluded nearly after 2 decades of negotiation on a long pending comprehensive free trade agreement, marking a major milestone expected to boost bilateral trade, investment and economic integration. The deal, described as the mother of all trade deals, is now currently undergoing legal review and is expected to be signed later this year. Major announcements are now expected today in a joint statement, in fact, by India and the EU delegation, which we're expecting just a short while from now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing India Energy Week, has hailed the India-EU trade partnership while lauding that how this trade represents 1/3 in the world.
फ्रेंड्स, अपनी बात आगे बढ़ाने से पहले मैं एक बड़े डेवलपमेंट की चर्चा करना चाहूंगा। कल ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच एक बहुत बड़ा एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। दुनिया में लोग इसकी चर्चा मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स के रूप में कर रहे हैं। ये समझौता भारत के 140 करोड़ लोगों और यूरोपीय देशों के करोड़ों लोगों के लिए बहुत बड़े अवसर लेकर आया है। ये दुनिया की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच तालमेल का एक शानदार उदाहरण बना है। ये समझौता ग्लोबल जीडीपी के करीब 25% और ग्लोबल ट्रेड के करीब 1/3 हिस्से को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। ये समझौता ट्रेड के साथ साथ डेमोक्रेसी और रूल ऑफ लॉ के प्रति हमारे शेयर्ड कमिटमेंट को भी सशक्त करता है। साथियों, ईयू के साथ हुआ ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट ब्रिटेन और एप्टा समझौतों को भी कॉम्प्लीमेंट करेगा। इससे ट्रेड और ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन दोनों को मजबूती मिलेगी। मैं भारत के नौजवानों को, सभी देशवासियों को इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। मैं टेक्सटाइल, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, लेदर एंड शूज ऐसे हर सेक्टर से जुड़े साथियों को भी बधाई देता हूं। ये समझौता आपके लिए बहुत सहायक सिद्ध होगा। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा। ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट दुनिया के हर बिजनेस, हर इन्वेस्टर के लिए भारत पर कॉन्फिडेंस को और मजबूत करेगा।
And now, viewers, my colleague Riyanka is very closely tracking this story on the ground. She joins me. Riyanka, we're expecting a statement from India as well as EU delegation in a short while from now, right?
That's right, and we are standby for that joint press statement regarding the free trade agreement, the mother of all deals that has in fact been very closely, and after a lot of efforts, after 2 decades of efforts and negotiations and coordinations between India and the European Union is of course getting inked, and we are of course tracking the details. I am reporting right outside the Hyderabad house in the national capital, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is of course holding high level meeting. We had the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting with von der Leyen and Costa, the chiefs of European Union, and of course this is the 16th, I beg your pardon, 16th India-EU summit, of course, that is currently underway, and sometime from now, as for the schedule, around 1:15, we are expecting the joint statements that will be given out, and the mother of all deals will be officially announced. And we are seeing that it is going to be affecting nearly 2 billion people in India, and of course the people living in the European Union nations, and that is coming in as a big development and a very significant one, because we are also given to understand the goods and the tariffs on the goods in terms of exports from the European Union nations is going to be reduced substantially. Of course, on the other hand, we had seen how Defence Minister Rajghat Singh on the sidelines of this meeting has held conversations with the leaders and the high representative of the European Union, and there were talks regarding defence strategies and other defence formulas and trade in front of in line with defence as well. So we are expecting that statement any time from now, and we continue to be on standby as the formal announcement will be made soon.
Right, Priyanka, the stage is already set. In a short while from now, we'll expect both the leaders from EU and India to address and release a joint statement. But, this is a statement that's not just being closely watched here in New Delhi, but around the world. We already had a statement coming in from Washington yesterday, kind of being irked by the kind of developments that are now we are seeing between India and EU. So certainly a statement that's going to be looked around the world very closely.
That's right. US is not very happy with these developments coming in. Washington, as you rightly mentioned, looked quite irked yesterday during, after the finalization of the free trade agreement between India and EU had come in, and Washington came down heavily on these developments, and they are of course saying that they are at this point in time looking like they are in a position of being sidelined, because we understand that already US has imposed a high level of tariffs, and the trade and economy and other parallel important matters regarding India and US, especially after the trade tariffs had come down certainly, which is why it looks like this growing relation between India and the European Union, because it is going to be affecting a number of people, 2 billion people. This somewhere is of course irking Washington, but for the nations that are in Europe and for India particularly, it is going to be a big deal, which is why it is being known and called as mother of all deals, and we are going to be awaiting the announcement any time from now.
Right, Priyanka, it is rightly a mother of all deals, a deal that's going to benefit India's labor-intensive sectors a lot, give a boost to manufacturing in India, and also lessen the impact of the kind of impact we've had from US tariffs. Viewers, remember 50% tariffs still remain in place. And we have a statement coming in from European Commission President. Also, she's called it that we've concluded the mother of all deals. We've created a free trade zone of 2 billion people with both sides set to benefit. This is only the beginning. So, Priyanka, we're certainly looking at more developments when we talk about India and European Union ties going ahead. All right, a big statement coming in from EU chief on the historic deal, the mother of all deals that's been signed between India and European Union. Von der Leyen now says India and EU are making history today. She's lauded the historic agreement. She says this is only the beginning when it comes to India and European Union ties. She also says we will grow our strategic relationship to be even stronger. So they're cementing of ties between India and European Union, with a big statement coming in from European Commission President on the deal. Now my colleague Abhishek Kapoor joins me on this. Abhishek, we've got a big statement from European Commission President wherein she lauds the deal and says this is only the beginning when we talk about India-European Union ties. How do you look at the statement?
Well, it's a statement of fact. And we are just looking at pictures coming out of Hyderabad House, where the stage is set, the mics are set, so to say, for the joint statement between the two sides. The statement was supposed to happen at 1:15 p.m. I think it's delayed by about just 15 minutes is what we are told, not 15 minutes also. In fact, the talks are over. And we are seeing in the pictures the leaders coming in fact, as we speak. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Prime Minister's Principal Secretary P.K. Mishra, Prime Minister's Second Principal Secretary Shaktikanta Das, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, the other senior officials from the Commerce Ministry, among others. We have Piyush Goyal, the Commerce Minister. We have leaders coming in from the European side. And soon we should have the leaders, Prime Minister Modi and the presidents of the European Council and the European Commission, Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen, respectively, which means we are looking at the joint statements in about 5 minutes' time, because the rest of the delegations have already arrived in the joint statement hall of the Hyderabad House, and the media is set. Everything is set for the announcement to be made. Big moment for New Delhi, big day of diplomacy coming out of New Delhi, a strong message coming out of New Delhi of geo-economic and geopolitical significance. You can see Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal now arriving along with Commerce Secretary. And we have Jitin Prasada. He's been minister in waiting for Ursula von der Leyen. They are there. These are all the delegations of both the sides there. They have come out, and the three leaders rather should be coming out soon. The fact that Ursula von der Leyen has been sort of a cheerleader for this deal, I think that in itself is proof of the kind of excitement that's there in the larger European community the fact that Friedrich Merz, when he was in New Delhi just a fortnight back on January 13, and he said that we are going to be pushing aggressively so that a deal is concluded by the time the India-EU summit happens later this month, which is happening now. So I think there is tremendous amount of bipartisan consensus, or rather, continental consensus in Europe between the bigger economies, in Europe, France, Germany, Italy, and the smaller ones also, that this is a deal of consequence. This is an agreement that really pushes ambition further in terms of stabilizing European trade in turbulent times that everyone is going through, and Europe specifically, because even otherwise the economies were slow. There have been recessionary trends in Europe, and they were looking for a lifeline, and instead they got a Trump wrecking ball in the form of Greenland. So in that sense, this agreement is also a pivoting of sorts away from the United States, and a certain fracture of which Ursula von der Leyen had also mentioned coming into play in terms of giving a decisive push. Remember, this deal has been 2 decades in the making. The talks started sometime in 2007, stalemated, and stopped effectively in 2013 during the UPA years. The threads were picked up again in 2022, and now we are seeing a culmination of that process of 3.5 years. It cannot be overlooked that the timing is connected with the developments in the transatlantic partnership, of the fracture of which Ursula was talking about. And coming out of Davos, we saw how European leaders, one after the other, really pushed back against American pressures on Greenland, and in fact presented a picture of a resolute resistance, so to say, that we have seen for the first time in recent memory. So we are waiting for that announcement to be made. Ursula von der Leyen, of course, has posted on her social media handle that the deal is done. The details would be shared in the joint statement, or if not in the joint statement, then the release that comes afterwards. But the contours of which we already know, it's going to really scale up the ambition in terms of the volume of trade between the two sides. It's going to make duty-free goods worth about $50 billion on both the sides, and it's going to make many other goods cheaper, including cars from Europe, and engineering goods from India. And to that extent, apart from engineering goods, of course, sectors like textile and pharmaceutical and footwear, they are going to get a fillip. So I think this is a win-win deal. The fact that agriculture and dairy sectors were taken off the table is also a strong message that even if you have strong disagreements, you can really pull through. And remember, when Donald Trump throws the Russia ball at us and says that, oh, you're buying Russian oil and it's financing the war in Europe, Europe is the victim, if at all, of the Russian war. And if they can sign a deal, what's the problem with the Americans? So I think India and New Delhi is sending a strong message to the Navarros and the Besants and the Lutniks that the time to be lunatic is over, and just focus on practical things that can be done rather than rhetoric which is not taking you anywhere. So I think in that sense, it's a very strong message of resolve to keep moving on irrespective of what turbulence the Trump administration really causes, be it in Europe, so in New Delhi, in India, and the rest of the world. I think these pictures, the fact that global agencies are really beaming these pictures, and not just our Indian agencies, is itself evidence of the fact that the world is watching as India and EU leadership come out and make that announcement just in a while from now.
Right, of course, as you mentioned, that these pictures will also be being closely watched in Washington as well, because now we're also sending a signal that when it comes to trade deals, there are red lines where India will not compromise. When it comes to agriculture, when it comes to dairy, those are the sectors where India will not compromise at all.
Well, yes. If you look at it, how many farmers does Europe have? It's about 7 or 8 million. How many farmers does the United States has? About 2 million. 20 lakh farmers, 80 lakh farmers vis-a-vis India, which has 150 million plus farmers, farmer families, and that's then looking at something like 15 crores, 20 crores, and so it's not an apple-to-apple comparison in terms of subsidies, for example. So if you look at the numbers, maybe Indian farm subsidies are equal to what the United States gives, a little more than Europe, in fact. But if you look at the per capita subsidy to our small, very small marginal farmers, it's a pittance. So those comparisons can't be there. And look at what happens. For example, it's not just Indian sensitivity. European Union just last fortnight signed a deal with Latin America, including countries like Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay. It's called the Mercosur deal. And it has been stonewalled in the European Parliament because the farmers have an issue there in Europe. So the farmers issue is not just an India sentiment, it's a broad sentiment on the ground. It's a sensitive political issue. And that's why it's been taken off the table in the India-EU deal. And had the Americans had the pragmatism to really do that, then perhaps the India-US deal would have also been signed. But then it's not about farmers or dairy or corn. Ultimately, it's about weaponizing of tariffs that we are seeing from the Americans. And that's why the Indo-US deal is stuck. And that's the reason why, because the leaderships have been pragmatic and practical, that the India-EU deal is being signed, and we are looking at the announcement now happening anytime soon.
Right, of course. Despite a lot of statements coming in from Commerce Secretary, from Litnik, India was very silent. It played its cards really well, was strategic about it, let its actions, speak a lot louder than its words. We've had deals with New Zealand recently, United Kingdom as well, and now this one. So, we've played our cards really well in terms of when we talk about silence and how we have been very strategic in responding to US pressure.
You are absolutely right there, because this is not the first deal we have signed. We have signed one with the ECTA deal with the European Economic Community. We have signed deals with Oman and UAE in the Middle East. We have signed down under with Australia and New Zealand, and other deals are in the making with the European Economic Union, which is like in the East. So I think this is 7th or 8th deal taking shape, which India has negotiated, renegotiated with all these geographies in the world, and many others are in the pipeline. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has been working meticulously, diligently over each of these deals and making sure that what is practical, what is doable, what's low-hanging fruit is included, and what's contentious and what's on the disagreements list is taken off the table, so that at least there's some movement forward. And that's the way to go. And a strong statement of intent from India to the rest of the world that we are a serious player within the framework of international rules-based order. We are willing to walk the extra mile to accommodate, the principles of and the spirit of free trade. And when Europe, not Europe, but when the Americans are dropping it like hot potato, something which was meticulously built over decades, India is coming to the rescue. And the kind of top-down approach that the United States has had of late, not just with India, but with the rest of the world, I think then there is a strong message that India can really stand up and be counted when it comes to defending the interests of the larger global South. So there is both an overlay of geopolitics and geostrategy in terms of, okay, fine.
His Excellency Mr. Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, Her Excellency Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, Shri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of Bharat, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I welcome you all to this ceremony where we shall witness exchange of several agreements and MOUs. These documents reflect the wide-ranging, multifaceted bilateral cooperation as part of the India-EU strategic partnership. We will begin with the signing and exchange of political declaration on conclusion of negotiations of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement. This document will be signed by His Excellency Mr. Maros Sefcovic, European Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, and Shri Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry of India.
I think we can.
The next document to be signed is the India-EU Security and Defense Partnership. This document will be signed by Her Excellency Ms. Kaya Kallas, High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and the Vice President of the European Commission, and Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister of India. We now have the signing of the Comprehensive Framework on Cooperation on Mobility. This document will be signed by His Excellency Mr. Maros Sefcovic, European Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, and Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister of India. A few documents will now be exchanged. The Administrative Arrangement on Cooperation and Disaster Risk Management will be exchanged between His Excellency Mr. Hervé Delphin, EU Ambassador to India, and Shri Vikram Misri, Foreign Secretary of India. The agreement on constitution of a green hydrogen task force will be exchanged between His Excellency Mr. Hervé Delphin, EU Ambassador to India, and Shri C.B. George, Secretary West in the Ministry of External Affairs. Lastly, two documents, namely the MOU between the Reserve Bank of India and the European Securities and Market Authority, and the Administrative Arrangement on Advanced Electronic Seals and Signatures, will be exchanged between His Excellency Mr. Hervé Delphin, EU Ambassador to India, and Shri Saurabh Kumar, Ambassador of India in Brussels. Before I conclude this segment on exchange ceremony, I would also like to announce that India and the European Union have agreed on a strategy document titled Towards 2030, a joint India-European Union Comprehensive Strategic Agenda. I now request the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs to conduct the rest of the proceedings.
Good afternoon, His Excellency Mr. Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, and Her Excellency Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Ministers, members of both delegations, distinguished guests, and friends from the media. We will now have the press statements. May I request Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to give his remarks to the media.
Your Excellencies, President Antonio Costa, our President Ursula von der Leyen, दोनों देशों के डेलीगेट्स, मीडिया के साथियों, नमस्कार। अपने दो करीबी मित्रों, प्रेसिडेंट कोस्टा और प्रेसिडेंट von der Leyen का इस अभूतपूर्व भारत यात्रा में स्वागत करते हुए मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है। कोस्टा जी अपनी सरल जीवन शैली और समाज के प्रति प्रेम के आधार पर लिस्बन के गांधी के नाम से जाने जाते हैं और उर्सुला जी जर्मनी की पहली महिला रक्षा मंत्री नहीं, यूरोपियन यूनियन कमीशन की भी पहली महिला प्रेसिडेंट बनकर पूरी दुनिया के लिए एक प्रेरणा है। कल एक ऐतिहासिक क्षण था जब पहली बार यूरोपियन यूनियन के लीडर्स भारत के गणतंत्र दिवस समारोह में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में शामिल हुए। आज एक और ऐतिहासिक अवसर है जब विश्व की दो सबसे बड़ी लोकतांत्रिक शक्तियां अपने संबंधों में एक निर्णायक अध्याय जोड़ रही है। फ्रेंड्स, पिछले कुछ वर्षों में भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के संबंधों में उल्लेखनीय प्रगति हुई है। साझा लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों, आर्थिक सिनर्जी और मजबूत पीपल टू पीपल टाइज के आधार पर हमारी साझेदारी नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंच रही है। आज हमारे बीच 180 बिलियन यूरो का ट्रेड है। 8 लाख से अधिक भारतीय यूरोपियन यूनियन के देशों में रह रहे हैं और सक्रिय योगदान दे रहे हैं। हमने स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी से लेकर क्लीन एनर्जी, डिजिटल गवर्नेंस से लेकर डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप, हर क्षेत्र में सहयोग के नए आयाम स्थापित किए हैं। इन्हीं उपलब्धियों के आधार पर आज की समिट में हमने समाज के सभी वर्गों को लाभ पहुंचाने वाले कई निर्णय लिए हैं। फ्रेंड्स, आज भारत ने अपने इतिहास का अब तक का सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है। आज 27 तारीख है। ये सुखद संयोग है कि आज ही के दिन यूरोपियन यूनियन के 27 देशों के साथ भारत ये एफटीए कर रहा है। यह एक ऐतिहासिक समझौता हमारे किसानों, हमारे छोटे उद्योगों, इसके यूरोपियन मार्केट तक पहुंच आसान बनाएगा, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में नए अवसर पैदा करेगा और हमारे सर्विसेज सेक्टर के बीच सहयोग को और प्रबल करेगा। इतना ही नहीं, यह एफटीए भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच इन्वेस्टमेंट को बूस्ट करेगा, नई इनोवेशन पार्टनरशिप बनाएगा और वैश्विक स्तर पर सप्लाई चेन को मजबूत करेगा। यानी यह सिर्फ ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट नहीं है, यह साझा समृद्धि का नया ब्लूप्रिंट है। फ्रेंड्स, इस महत्वाकांक्षी एफटीए के साथ साथ हम मोबिलिटी के लिए भी एक नया फ्रेमवर्क बना रहे हैं। इससे भारत के स्टूडेंट्स, वर्कर्स और प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए यूरोपियन यूनियन में नए अवसर खुलेंगे। साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में हमारा लंबे समय से एक व्यापक सहयोग रहा है। आज हमने इन महत्वपूर्ण लिंकेजेस को भी और मजबूत करने का निर्णय लिया है। फ्रेंड्स, रक्षा और सुरक्षा सहयोग किसी भी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की नींव होती है और आज हम इसे सिक्योरिटी एंड डिफेंस पार्टनरशिप के जरिए औपचारिक रूप दे रहे हैं। इससे काउंटर टेररिज्म, मैरीटाइम और साइबर सिक्योरिटी में हमारी साझेदारी और गहरी होगी। यह रूल्स बेस्ड इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर के प्रति हमारी साझा प्रतिबद्धता को भी बल देगा। इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में हमारे सहयोग का दायरा और बढ़ेगा और इसके साथ हमारी डिफेंस कंपनियां को डेवलपमेंट और को प्रोडक्शन के नए अवसर साकार करेगी। फ्रेंड्स, आज की इन उपलब्धियों के आधार पर हम अगले 5 वर्ष के लिए एक और भी एम्बिशियस और होलिस्टिक स्ट्रेटेजिक एजेंडा लॉन्च कर रहे हैं। एक जटिल वैश्विक वातावरण में यह एजेंडा स्पष्ट दिशा देगा, हमारी साझा समृद्धि को आगे बढ़ाएगा, इनोवेशन को गति देगा, सुरक्षा सहयोग और सुदृढ़ करेगा और पीपल टू पीपल टाइज को और गहरा करेगा। फ्रेंड, भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन का सहयोग एक पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल गुड है। हम इंडो पैसिफिक से लेकर कैरेबियन तक ट्राइलेटरल प्रोजेक्ट को विस्तार देंगे। इससे सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर, क्लीन एनर्जी और विमेन एम्पावरमेंट को ठोस समर्थन मिलेगा। हम साथ मिलकर आईमैक कॉरिडोर को ग्लोबल ट्रेड और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की एक प्रमुख कड़ी के रूप में स्थापित करेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, आज ग्लोबल ऑर्डर में बड़ी उथल-पुथल है। ऐसे में भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन की साझेदारी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सिस्टम में स्थिरता को मजबूती देगी। इस संदर्भ में आज हमने यूक्रेन, पश्चिमी एशिया, इंडो पैसिफिक सहित कई वैश्विक मुद्दों पर विस्तार से चर्चा की। मल्टीलेटरलिज्म और इंटरनेशनल नॉर्म्स का सम्मान हमारी साझी प्राथमिकता है। हम एकमत है कि आज के चैलेंजेस का समाधान करने के लिए ग्लोबल इंस्टीट्यूशंस का रिफॉर्म अनिवार्य है। फ्रेंड्स, राष्ट्रों के संबंधों में कभी-कभी ऐसा क्षण आता है जब इतिहास स्वयं कहता है, यहीं से दिशा बदली, यहीं से एक नया युग शुरू हुआ। भारत की और यूरोपियन यूनियन की यह ऐतिहासिक समिट वही क्षण है। मैं एक बार फिर इस अभूतपूर्व यात्रा के लिए, भारत के प्रति आपकी मित्रता के लिए और हमारे साझा भविष्य के प्रति आपकी प्रतिबद्धता के लिए प्रेसिडेंट कोस्टा और प्रेसिडेंट फॉन डेर लायन का हार्दिक धन्यवाद करता हूं। थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. Request His Excellency, Mr. Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, to give his remarks to the media.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, my dear friend, dear Ursula, Ministers, dear Kaya and Maros, good afternoon. Thank you, dear Prime Minister Modi, for welcoming us on this special occasion. We were privileged yesterday to be your chief guests for the Republic Day celebrations. Such an impressive display of India's capabilities and diversity. Today is a historic moment. We are opening a new chapter in our relations on trade, on security, on people-to-people ties. I'm the President of the European Council, but I'm also an overseas Indian citizen. Then, as you can imagine, for me, it has a special meaning. I'm very proud of my roots in Goa, where my father's family came from. And the connection between Europe and India is something personal to me. Also because we conclude today our trade negotiations. We relaunched at the latest meeting that I had the pleasure to host in May 2021 in my previous capacity. Our summit sends a clear message to the world. At a time when the global order is being fundamentally reshaped, the European Union and India stand together as a strategic and reliable partners. Today, we are taking our partnership to the next level. As the two largest democracies in the world, we are working hand in hand to deliver concrete benefits for our citizens and to shape a resilient global order that underpins peace and stability, economic growth, and sustainable development. I would like to share three messages. First, the European Union and India must work together towards our shared prosperity and security. India is the world's fastest growing major economy. Trade has flowed between our two continents for centuries. And trade is a crucial geopolitical stabilizer and the fundamental source of economic growth. Trade agreements reinforce rules-based economic order and promote shared prosperity. That's why today's free trade agreement is of historic importance. One of the most ambitious agreements ever concluded, creating a market of 2 billion people. In a multipolar world, the European Union and India are working together to grow spheres of shared prosperity. But prosperity does not exist without security. Strengthen our cooperation to better protect our citizens and our shared interests. Working together to counter the full range of security threats we face in the Indo-Pacific, in Europe, and around the world, reaching a new level of strategic trust between us. That is the significance of our agreement on a security and defense partnership. the first such overarching defense and security framework between India and the European Union, and the first step towards even more ambitious cooperation in the future. This brings me to my second message. As the world's largest democracies and champions of multilateralism, the European Union and India share the responsibility to upholding the international law with the United Nations Charter at its core. Earlier this morning, we and Ursula and President Ursula had the opportunity to pay tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. And I reflected upon his words, which still hold true today. And I quoted, "Peace will not come out of a clash of arms, but out of justice lived and done by unarmed nations in the face of odds." Our summit reaffirmed our commitment to supporting efforts towards a comprehensive, just and lasting peace in Ukraine, one that fully respects Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. This is a key moment. We are supporting all efforts to reach a just and sustainable peace. Ukraine has shown its readiness, including at the cost of difficult compromise. I know, dear Prime Minister, that we can count on you to help creating conditions for peace through dialogue and diplomacy. And this is my final message. Together, we must show leadership on global issues. Cooperation between the European Union and India will help shape a more balanced, resilient, and inclusive global order. Just two examples. I'm proud of the commitments we are making for greater cooperation on clean energy, green transition, and climate resilience. And our collaboration through the Global Gateway and on the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor is decisive for global connectivity. By implementing the ambitious Joint Comprehensive Strategic Agenda towards 2030, we will align our priorities with concrete actions for the next 5 years, delivering real benefits to our citizens. Today, we have tangible progress and set an example of cooperative leadership on global issues. With our free trade agreement, our security and defense partnership, and our joint strategic agenda. These outcomes are crucial milestones on the longer path. We look forward to continuing the journey together, as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Her Excellency Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, to give her remarks to the media.
Dear Prime Minister Modi, distinguished friend, Antonio, my friend, ministers, especially Shankar and Guyal, Vice President Kallas, Commissioner Šefčovič, Excellencies, friends, thank you very much for the exceptional hospitality we experienced. It was such an honor for us to be your chief guests at the Republic Day yesterday. This is a memory I will carry for a lifetime, because the sense of communion was so powerful. People filled the streets united in pride and joy of belonging to the Indian nation, and rightfully so. India has risen, and Europe is truly glad about it, because when India succeeds, the world is more stable, more prosperous, and more secure, and we all benefit. Prime Minister Modi, dear friend, 1 year ago, the full College of Commissioners came to India. You mentioned it. And this is also a very special memory for me. It showed the seriousness of our intent and the strength of our commitment. Today, we reap the fruits of that commitment with our historic summit. And let me start with trade. Prime Minister, distinguished friend, we did it. We delivered the mother of all deals. We are creating a market of 2 billion people. And this is the tale of two giants, the world's second and fourth largest economies. Two giants who choose partnership in a true win-win fashion. A strong message that cooperation is the best answer to global challenges. This trade will integrate further our supply chain and strengthen our joint manufacturing power. It will cut up to 4 billion euros in annual tariffs for exporters of all sizes. And it will create good jobs for millions of workers here in India and in Europe. At the same time, this agreement will build on the natural complementarity of our economies. It brings together Indian skills, services, and scale with Europe's technology, capital, and innovation. It will create levels of growth that neither side can achieve alone. And by combining these strengths, we reduce strategic dependencies at a time when trade is increasingly weaponized. We will discuss this and more at our first EU-India Business Forum later today. I want to offer a special word of thanks to the people who worked so hard to make this day a reality. Starting with the European Union's Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič and his counterpart, India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. You have done an outstanding work. This is historic, and it would not have been possible without you. I also want to pay tribute to their colleagues, Sabine Weyand and Secretary Rajesh Agrawal. Many others made vital contributions. I congratulate you all. The hard work was worth it. Prime Minister, distinguished friend, we're not only making our economy stronger, we're also delivering security for our people in an increasingly insecure world. And today, the world's two largest economies and democracies launch their first ever security and defense partnership. This is a landmark departure and a trust-based platform for cooperation on the strategic issues that matter most. In doing so, we will help to build each other's resilience. Europe and India have a long history of cooperation in the defense industry. Now we will enhance this teamwork even further. We will deepen our cooperation on maritime security, for example, joint naval exercises to tackle piracy. And we will step up our work on countering cyber and hybrid threats, which are getting more sophisticated by the day. And our partnership includes a dedicated dialogue on space security, from situational awareness to secure connectivity, and stronger cooperation on counterterrorism. Finally, we are launching negotiations on a security of information agreement. Europe and India have chosen to be reliable partners to one another, and this is how we demonstrate the trust we share. Prime Minister Modi, distinguished friend, I want to turn to innovation, because here too we share core values. The freedom of research and science is paramount for us. Europe and India will always choose science. We will always choose progress, the way forward. We will always choose technology at the service of our people. It's part of who we are. And our cooperation on human-centric, trustworthy artificial intelligence is one of the best examples. So today I'm glad to announce that we are working on India's association with Horizon Europe. Backed by funding firepower of 100 billion euros, Horizon is the world's largest public research program. And I can't wait for our best talents to get to work to advance health, clean energy, frontier technologies, just to name some. We will set up EU-India innovation hubs. This will help researchers and startups to collaborate on next-generation technology. And we are also launching the EU-India Startup Partnership to boost co-creation and high-potential ventures. Finally, Prime Minister dear Narendra, we both know our greatest wealth are our people. That is why I'm so glad that we are signing an agreement on mobility. We will facilitate the movement of students, researchers, seasonal and highly skilled workers. And this is also why we are launching the first EU Legal Gateway Office in India. It will be a one-stop hub to support Indian talent moving to Europe in full alignment with EU member states' needs and policies. This is good for our economies. This is good for the friendship between our people. And this openness benefits us all. As we conclude this 16th summit, let me reflect on another event of deep meaning. 2 weeks ago, India marked Makar Sankranti. It's the beginning of Uttarayan, the sun's northward journey. From darkness to light, from stillness to growth, from what was to what can be. And that is what makes our summit so unique and timely. The time is right for renewal, for fresh momentum, and for opening a new chapter in EU-India friendship. And this is exactly what we have achieved together today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude the press statements. Thank you very much for your presence.
All right, viewers, huge statements coming there in the EU joint statement on the FTA. And this is the biggest FTA that India has ever signed. A strategic FTA there which would boost investments, forge new partnerships and strengthen global supply chains. And like it's very clear, it's not just an FTA, it's a blueprint of joint prosperity. The science and technology would be the great beneficiaries of mobility agreement, and they've also formalized security and defense partnership. There will be a better cooperation in maritime, security, counterterrorism and cyber. And defense companies would be coming together for co-development and co-manufacturing. It's an ambitious agenda which has been launched for the next 5 years, and it's a partnership for the global good. Huge updates coming in, viewers, on Republic TV, and this is a moment that we have been waiting for decades, because in the statement which EU has put out, it says that EU and India has concluded negotiations for an historic, ambitious and commercially significant free trade agreement, largest such ever deal concluded by the side. It will strengthen economic and political ties between the world's second and fourth largest economies at a time of rising geopolitical tensions and global economic challenges. Let's go ahead and play out once more what the Prime Minister said. Prime Minister Modi.
सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है। आज 27 तारीख है। ये सुखद संयोग है कि आज ही के दिन यूरोपियन यूनियन के 27 देशों के साथ भारत ये FTA कर रहा है। यह एक ऐतिहासिक समझौता हमारे किसानों, हमारे छोटे उद्योगों, इसके यूरोपियन मार्केट तक पहुंच आसान बनाएगा, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में नए अवसर पैदा करेगा और हमारे सर्विसेज सेक्टर के बीच सहयोग को और प्रबल करेगा। इतना ही नहीं, यह FTA भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच इन्वेस्टमेंट को बूस्ट करेगा, नई इनोवेशन पार्टनरशिप बनाएगा और वैश्विक स्तर पर सप्लाई चेन को मजबूत करेगा। यानी यह सिर्फ ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट नहीं है, यह साझा समृद्धि का नया ब्लूप्रिंट है। फ्रेंड्स, इस महत्वाकांक्षी FTA के साथ साथ हम मोबिलिटी के लिए भी एक नया फ्रेमवर्क बना रहे हैं। इससे भारत के स्टूडेंट्स, वर्कर्स और प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए यूरोपियन यूनियन में नए अवसर खुलेंगे। साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में हमारा लंबे समय से एक व्यापक सहयोग रहा है। आज हमने इन महत्वपूर्ण लिंकेजेस को भी और मजबूत करने का निर्णय लिया है। भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन का सहयोग एक पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल गुड है। हम इंडो पैसिफिक से लेकर कैरेबियन तक ट्राइलेटरल प्रोजेक्ट को विस्तार देंगे। इससे सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर, क्लीन एनर्जी और विमेन एम्पावरमेंट को ठोस समर्थन मिलेगा। हम साथ मिलकर IMEC कॉरिडोर को ग्लोबल ट्रेड और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की एक प्रमुख कड़ी के रूप में स्थापित करेंगे। आज एक और ऐतिहासिक अवसर है जब विश्व की दो सबसे बड़ी लोकतांत्रिक शक्तियां अपने संबंधों में एक निर्णायक अध्याय जोड़ रही है। फ्रेंड्स, पिछले कुछ वर्षों में भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के संबंधों में उल्लेखनीय प्रगति हुई है। साझा लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों, आर्थिक सिनर्जी और मजबूत पीपल टू पीपल टाइज के आधार पर हमारी साझेदारी नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंच रही है। आज हमारे बीच 180 बिलियन यूरो का ट्रेड है। 8 लाख से अधिक भारतीय यूरोपियन यूनियन के देशों में रह रहे हैं और सक्रिय योगदान दे रहे हैं। हमने स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी से लेकर क्लीन एनर्जी, डिजिटल गवर्नेंस से लेकर डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप, हर क्षेत्र में सहयोग के नए आयाम स्थापित किए हैं।
And let me start with trade. Prime Minister, distinguished friend, we did it. We delivered the mother of all deals. We are creating a market of 2 billion people. And this is the tale of two giants, the world's second and fourth largest economies. Two giants who choose partnership in a true win-win fashion. A strong message that cooperation is the best answer to global challenges. This trade will integrate further our supply chain and strengthen our joint manufacturing power. It will cut up to 4 billion euros in annual tariffs for exporters of all sizes. And it will create good jobs for millions of workers here in India and in Europe.
All right, viewers, that's the joint statement released by EU Commissioner, President, European Council President, as well as Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the mother of all deals being signed between European Union and India. Now, my colleague Riyanka, who's been very closely tracking this story, joins me. Riyanka, we've got a clear message coming in from New Delhi which says that this is the biggest deal we have signed, whereas Ursula says that it is an answer to the global challenges we are witnessing.
That's right. In fact, we had the joint statements from India and the European Union. And in this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi very clearly mentioned and said that we did it. We delivered the mother of all the deals. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi said that at this point in time, it was a very, very significant one. In fact, if you talk about the European Union chief, she went on to mention that the delivery of mother of all the deals has been very clearly done, and she declared, expressing her gratitude for the exceptional hospitality. And she also emphasized that the agreement represents a win-win situation for the two global giants that will create jobs for millions of people. In fact, von der Leyen went ahead to add that the success of India makes the world more prosperous, and that the deal serves as a testament to seriousness of the intent and the strength of the commitment of both India and, of course, the European Union. And if we talk about the statement coming in from Santos da Costa, he mentioned that the inseparable link between economic growth and regional safety is also upheld pretty much. And he stated that while the European Union and India are working together to grow the spheres of shared prosperity in the multipolar world, such prosperity cannot exist without security. And the strengthening cooperation for the citizens is something that is the main highlight. And of course, this deal, the mother of all deals, have been declared. And this has been a very, very significant summit. And the declaration coming in marking the end of an 18-year journey, an 18-year of negotiations between India and the European Union, which officially inked their free trade agreement.
All right, Riyanka, continue to stay with me, but let's also hear the highlights of the joint statement by Prime Minister Modi and Ursula von der Leyen.
सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है। आज 27 तारीख है। ये सुखद संयोग है कि आज ही के दिन यूरोपियन यूनियन के 27 देशों के साथ भारत ये एफटीए कर रहा है। यह एक ऐतिहासिक समझौता हमारे किसानों, हमारे छोटे उद्योगों, इसके यूरोपियन मार्केट तक पहुंच आसान बनाएगा, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में नए अवसर पैदा करेगा और हमारे सर्विसेज सेक्टर के बीच सहयोग को और प्रबल करेगा। इतना ही नहीं, यह एफटीए भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच इन्वेस्टमेंट को बूस्ट करेगा, नई इनोवेशन पार्टनरशिप बनाएगा और वैश्विक स्तर पर सप्लाई चेन को मजबूत करेगा। यानी यह सिर्फ ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट नहीं है, यह साझा समृद्धि का नया ब्लूप्रिंट है। फ्रेंड्स, इस महत्वाकांक्षी एफटीए के साथ साथ हम मोबिलिटी के लिए भी एक नया फ्रेमवर्क बना रहे हैं। इससे भारत के स्टूडेंट्स, वर्कर्स और प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए यूरोपियन यूनियन में नए अवसर खुलेंगे। साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में हमारा लंबे समय से एक व्यापक सहयोग रहा है। आज हमने इन महत्वपूर्ण लिंकेजेस को भी और मजबूत करने का निर्णय लिया है। भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन का सहयोग एक पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल गुड है। हम इंडो पैसिफिक से लेकर कैरेबियन तक ट्राइलेटरल प्रोजेक्ट को विस्तार देंगे। इससे सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर, क्लीन एनर्जी और विमेन एम्पावरमेंट को ठोस समर्थन मिलेगा। हम साथ मिलकर आईमैक कॉरिडोर को ग्लोबल ट्रेड और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की एक प्रमुख कड़ी के रूप में स्थापित करेंगे। आज एक और ऐतिहासिक अवसर है जब विश्व की दो सबसे बड़ी लोकतांत्रिक शक्तियां अपने संबंधों में एक निर्णायक अध्याय जोड़ रही है। फ्रेंड्स, पिछले कुछ वर्षों में भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के संबंधों में उल्लेखनीय प्रगति हुई है। साझा लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों, आर्थिक सिनर्जी और मजबूत पीपल टू पीपल टाइज के आधार पर हमारी साझेदारी नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंच रही है। आज हमारे बीच 180 बिलियन यूरो का ट्रेड है। 8 लाख से अधिक भारतीय यूरोपियन यूनियन के देशों में रह रहे हैं और सक्रिय योगदान दे रहे हैं। हमने स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी से लेकर क्लीन एनर्जी, डिजिटल गवर्नेंस से लेकर डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप, हर क्षेत्र में सहयोग के नए आयाम स्थापित किए हैं।
And let me start with trade. Prime Minister, distinguished friend, we did it. We delivered the mother of all deals. We are creating a market of 2 billion people. And this is the tale of two giants, the world's second and fourth largest economies. Two giants who choose partnership in a true win-win fashion. A strong message that cooperation is the best answer to global challenges. This trade will integrate further our supply chain and strengthen our joint manufacturing power. It will cut up to 4 billion euros in annual tariffs for exporters of all sizes. And it will create good jobs for millions of workers here in India and in Europe.
All right, my colleague Riyanka continues to stay with me on this. Riyanka, it seems it's an elevation not just for economic ties, but an all-encompassing relationship. We're talking about mobility agreement, we're talking about defense agreement being signed between EU and India.
That's right. Of course, very clearly mentioned there how the economies and, of course, the defense ties are all a part of this, and it is bringing together Indian skills, services, and scale, and the European technology, capital, and innovation all together. And the opportunity is vast because there will be levels of growth which neither side can achieve alone, because the European Union consisting of 27 nations and India coming together, it does give up a big opportunity, and it is a combining of strengths that we are seeing. And there is going to be reduced strategic dependencies when trade is concerned. There will be less dependency, of India against China, and there will be now this free trade agreement which has been inked will be moving forward, and of course it has to go with its foremost legalities. But yes, within a year it comes into effect with Ursula very clearly mentioning that it is going to be a win-win situation for both the global giants, creating jobs for millions of people. And of course, on the other hand, we saw how Defense Minister Rajghat Singh had also held his conversations with Kaja Kallas, and there were also conversations regarding the defense strategies and the defense partnership and the ties that in fact is going to be coming together. So yes, it is a big deal. It is a mother of all the trades, of all the trade that has happened, and it is going to be reducing tariffs in huge numbers, and it is going to be it is coming in as one of the big impact that will be, of course, seen in terms of global trade and sustainable development, and also it is the biggest FTA that India has ever signed.
All right, Priyanka, that's the big news of the hour. Mother of all deals being signed between EU and India. Thank you for joining us and giving us those details. And now, viewers, that's the end of this live and breaking. But don't go anywhere. On the other side, we discuss new reports now indicating that Bangladesh may replace Pakistan if PCB boycotts ICC T20 World Cup 2026. Ahead of budget session, government convenes all-party meeting.
MDH की देगी मीरज,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मीरज।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
The fact is, there is nobody with the USA. Trump is completely isolated today. He doesn't know what to do. Europe has finalized this huge deal with India. Europe is basically saying we are hedging against American behavior, unpredictability. Let's work with a more predictable India. Trump is in a massive mess. He's brought about the culture of hatred, and his ugly, indecent pompousness has made him a standing meme, and there is civil war in the United States that's beginning to break out. Trump is hallucinating. He doesn't realize the situation in America. He is now turned on Americans and fight people and governors in different states till there's absolute all-out civil war in the United States of America.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Amity University has been ranked India's #1 university for business and economics and the #1 private university for computer science by Times Higher Education Subject Rankings 2026, a testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't spoken to him. No, he debanked to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanking. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon, what he did, he's not allowed to do that.
The lawsuit, filed on Thursday, January 22nd in Miami-Dade County State Court, centers on a controversial practice known as debanking. The president alleges that the bank has systematically denied services to him and his associated businesses, not because of financial risk, but due
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't spoken. No, he debanked to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you're involved and have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But
Welcome back, viewers. Now, Srinagar has witnessed heavy snowfall and people have been asked not to venture out amid a weather advisory, and in fact, no vehicular movement has been allowed from Jammu towards Srinagar and vice versa. Watch this ground report which talks about the traffic chaos induced by snowfall in the region.
Heavy snowfall has severely affected the day-to-day life operations of citizens of Jammu and Kashmir. Considering security of people as paramount, the traffic police is checking all Kashmir-bound vehicles.
Jammu-Srinagar National Highway has been closed due to heavy snowfall and rains that are taking place in the upper reaches of Jammu and Kashmir. Right now we are reporting from the Nagrota traffic checkpoint, where you will see that all the vehicles that are coming from Jammu city heading towards the Kashmir Valley, they are thoroughly being checked and only then being allowed to move beyond this point, so that there is no traffic jam on the National Highway, and also to ensure that the lives of the individuals are not risked. Because we have seen that earlier also there have been several instances where the people go to the upper reaches, and then due to the skiddy roads and also the inclement weather condition, they got trapped, and there have been many of those who have suffered the non-fatal casualties due to this. And now you will see that every vehicle that is passing by is first checked and only then being allowed to move beyond this point, because this is the point from where past with post which they can now ply on the National Highway. But keeping in view the inclement weather condition and the weather forecast that suggests that there will not be any movement that will be allowed, reason being the snowfall and the rains will continue. There have been checkings that have been going on, and only after due checking they are being allowed. You will see that the commercial vehicles are also being checked by the traffic police officials and then being allowed to move in case they are moving to the areas that are nearby. But when it comes to heading towards the Kashmir Valley, the land route to the Kashmir has completely been closed.
And now it's time for a very special segment called Bharat in One. Let's get started. A horrific road accident occurred on Pandapur Mangalvera Road in Solapur district of Maharashtra. A cruiser vehicle and a container truck collided on the highway. Now in this, a 14-year-old girl is among the victims of the accident. According to reports, employees from a private company from Mumbai Thane were on a trip to visit Tujlapur and Akalkot during their vacation. AGS team of the Crime Branch Delhi Police has now arrested a wanted and absconding interstate criminal and proclaimed offender Ravinder Deswal, who is involved in 20 heinous criminal cases across Delhi and Haryana. The accused is an active member of Krishan Gheta gang in Haryana. Now, he was apprehended from Dwarka Expressway Toll Plaza, Delhi, after a brief chase. The BJP and the JDS, Janata Dal Secular, staged a protest against Karnataka government over the row over Karnataka Governor Thawar Chand Gehlot's address in the State Assembly at the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Vidhan Sauda. Now, the protest was seen after Governor on Thursday refused to read portions of the customary address to the State Assembly and then walked out of the House. And now, viewers, at the UNSC, India's permanent representative to the global body, Parvat Neni Harish, has hit back at Pakistan's false and self-serving narrative of Operation Sindoor. Here's the report. Take a look.
India's envoy to UN, Parvat Neni Harish, dealt a heavy blow to comments made by Pakistan's envoy over Operation Sindoor. India's envoy to UN said terrorism cannot be normalized by Pakistan, which has a single point agenda to harm my country and my people.
Let me reiterate again that terrorism can never be normalized as Pakistan wishes to do. It is not normal to tolerate Pakistan's continued use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy. This hallowed chamber cannot become a forum for Pakistan to legitimize terrorism. We will do whatever required to protect and ensure the safety and security of our citizens.
New Delhi is clear. It is not normal to tolerate Pakistan's continued use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy.
And now, viewers, with this we come to the end of Live and Breaking. But don't go anywhere. On the other side, we discuss the reports indicating that Bangladesh may now replace Pakistan if the PCB decides to boycott ICC T20 World Cup 2026. Ahead of budget session, government convenes all-party meet with all the top leaders in attendance.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये हित तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा मसाला केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't stopped it. No, he debanked to me. So we'll see if that beats anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon, what he did, he's not allowed to do that.
The lawsuit, filed on Thursday, January 22nd in Miami-Dade County State Court, centers on a controversial practice known as debanking. The president alleges that the bank has systematically denied services to him and his associated businesses, not because of financial risk, but due to political bias. This isn't just a dispute over a checking account. This is a high-stakes legal battle that accuses the largest bank in the United States of trade libel, bad faith, and violating state consumer protection laws. The core of the complaint is that J.P. Morgan Chase violated Florida's deceptive trade practices law. The legal team for the president argues that Florida law explicitly prohibits financial institutions from terminating accounts or denying services based on a person's political opinions, speech, or affiliations. According to the complaint reviewed by Bloomberg, Trump's lawyers state that, quote, debanking.
Hello viewers, a very good afternoon. We are live and we are breaking up. Shivangi Shukla getting you the latest. Prime Minister Modi says India-EU FTA deal resets global trade. That's the top story coming in, but the headlines first. Let's get started.
आज भारत ने अपने इतिहास का अब तक का सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है।
Mother of all trade deal signed. Tariffs on European cars, medical items, wine to be cut.
We did it. We delivered the mother of all deals.
आज भारत ने अपने इतिहास का अब तक का सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है।
India-Europe FTA important to ensure rules-based global order, says EU's chief. Reports say that Bangladesh may replace Pakistan if PCB boycotts ICC T20 World Cup 2026. Ahead of budget session, the government convenes all-party meeting. Clashes erupt across two districts in Bihar after violence and stone pelting being reported during Saraswati idol immersion.